There we go. Did I just rip that entire time? And then you guys didn't hear me that entire time? There we go. Somebody, Facebook user, say, let me know if I've got the audio back now. Here, let me know if you can hear me. Got it, they said. All right, amazing. So let's riff on that a little bit more here. Thanks for listening for 2 entire minutes before you told me. No, just kidding. So today we're talking about thumbnails and like, why do thumbnails actually matter? And it really matters because you can create the most amazing, beautiful video ever. And if they don't click on that video to actually watch this video, it doesn't matter. And so honing in on a few different things and getting very good at it. Your titles are one of them. Your descriptions are great. Making sure that the video is watchable and clickable. Those are all things that we're going to talk about as the weeks and months go on in our Content Lab community. But today we're just talking about thumbnails. Okay, if you're scrolling through, and so I want to show you what some of my first thumbnails look like. These were the terrible thumbnails that I created myself, and it was the same house in the background of all of these. The font you really couldn't read, which it's still kind of wild to me that 6 years ago was when I first uploaded my first video over on YouTube. Now 6 years later, it's gotten 653 videos or views. But at the time, guys, it probably had 5 views, and like 3 of them were my parents. And so, anyhow, this is where we're at today. And you can kind of see the sequential nature of all of things. These are very clickable, great videos and themselves, but then also the thumbnails are what matter. And so today we're talking about a little bit of the psychology behind it. And I thought this was actually a really great blog to break it down together. And I want you guys to ask questions. This is not me talking at you. This is definitely a back and forth conversation. So as you're going through, if you have some added thoughts, please let me know. If you're just kind of curious, I want me to go deeper on something, that'll absolutely do that as well. But this is written in September of last year, so super relevant blog, but types of thumbnails that increase views. This one I thought was really interesting. So it's like, for one, this guy's thumbnail for the blog is incredible because it's eyeballs and it makes you stop and slow down. But first of all, types of thumbnails that hook people. Number one, big numbers. So big numbers that are unnatural events that trigger curiosity, particularly when it comes to money. Don't make them too round or fake, but you've got, why are there 96 million black balls on this reservoir? That is the title of the video. And then behind this guy, obviously, either a little bit of an AI kind of piece or something like that, but it's going to stop you and stop the scroll. Now, do you notice that he doesn't have a ton of words on here? It doesn't have exactly what the video is about. And I think that that's what a lot of people get caught up in when they're doing thumbnails, is they try to put a thumbnail where it's your face. And then as real estate agents and or mortgage professionals, it's like a house behind them and like all this stuff going on. And there's all these words. And it's just kind of like insane vomit of what these thumbnails end up looking at. And then you look in your YouTube Studio app and it says what the click-through rate is. And you're like, oh, wow, I've got 3% click-through rate. Why don't more people want to watch this? Well, because your thumbnails are just trying to do a little too much. What a good thumbnail does is stop the scroll and then causes people to go to the title. The title reinforces the thumbnail and then they click. That's kind of the psychology behind all this stuff. Before and after is a really great thumbnail idea. So you can see this guy, he took his face looking really sick on the one side, edited it to where, so before and after, again, just 2 quick words. And it makes you want to click. It says, why you're always tired, 7 myths about ruining your sleep. 4 million views, right? Awesome. This is a reaction video. Like you'd slow down. You're like, what's going on with this guy? He's obviously in a jet. I need to see what this guy's doing. G-force jerk and a giant centrifuge. Okay, great. It reinforces the title, reinforces back on the thumbnail, and then back around. Emphasis. Now you'll notice this guy's got a few things going on here. And one of the things I like to slow down and pay attention to when I'm looking at great thumbnails is the rule of 3. Now, rule of 3 just kind of comes down to there not really being more than 3 elements on any of your thumbnails. And so one thing you'll notice over on mine, over here, it's got like, this most recent one we posted 7 days ago. It's got 17,000 views. It's like one element is Kristen and I on the front, Winter Park at the top. And then I've got this AI background, which I'll teach you guys how I do this. On this next one over here, what can you buy $1 million in Orlando, Florida? It's just me and then 4 different kind of homes. It's not trying to stuff the entire title on the thumbnail. This one over on the right here, you can see it just says I'm retiring, and I used AI to kind of like age me up a little bit. And then all I literally did was I went to ChatGPT, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but went to ChatGPT and I said, show me what it looks like or show me some activities that people do when they're retiring in Florida. And that's the image it popped up. And I'll show you exactly how we build these kind of things. But let's get back to the psychology and different ones here. So going back to the rule of 3, where you've got the kid you've got there's one element. The second element is the packages and or the text over here. And then the third element is the background, right? It's not overly stuffed. You can see this really, really small when you're scrolling through, because you guys got to remember the great majority of people that are going to watch your stuff are watching on the phone. And so they're going to go scroll through the app, their YouTube app, and they're tiny. They're absolutely tiny. And so that's another thing where I see agents really making mistakes is you're adding 10 different words when really 3 will do. And so going back, 3 elements is the most that you want to put on any really great thumbnail, in my opinion, and or not just my opinion, but psychology will tell you. Here's another one. Ask a question. It says, you're not a psychologist, so this guy looks freaked out, obviously. But the photo here reinforces, it's almost like, he's asking this question. You want to slow down. And then what pretending to be crazy looks like. Again, not up here where it says you're a psychologist. Most agents that I see on their content, they would put what pretending to be crazy looks like on their thumbnail. You're not trying to just repeat yourself. You're trying to go back and reinforce them together, if that makes sense. Let's see. Anybody have questions? Oh, just everybody saying that they can hear me now. That's good. All right, good. Let's keep going. Some of these other ones. Yeah, I think they're brilliant examples of different ones that we could easily use. Joining along. So this girl's obviously in first class. It says flying first class, travel with me. I think there's a few too many words here, but it says flying first class to New York, travel with me vlog. So she actually does reinforce here. Not a huge fan of how little or how many words are on here, but you can kind of get the idea. 5 things that you should never do. This is one where it's fear, right? And so this would be a really easy one to recreate of don't move here, don't move to Orlando, or stop, right? And I've done this video recently, and the thumbnail you can see right here is stop moving here. Okay. And it's me with my hand up, stop moving here. This is like the fear kind of piece, right? You're trying to show some emotion, stop moving here. And then in the title, it's Florida's closed, don't move here. And it was just me riffing around, going from city to city, interviewing people about what they thought about people moving here and like how many people were moving here and what their reaction was. And the video actually unfolded to where it was really, I think, kind of cool. It was like, they were like, no, we actually love it. I'm not from here. Who am I to say that other people shouldn't move here? And yet there are people doing that. So how do we do this? Like, how do we put some of these things together? And I can actually drop this. Actually, this is the last one I think I'll do. I think it is a really cool one. This is called a pop out, where you've got a really something that draws in the people to watch, to look at the photo. And then let's see a little bit of the process, the pop out over here. Again, no words on this one, a little branding in the bottom left-hand corner, but then 15 painful prosthetic actors were forced to wear. So anyhow, I think these are cool. I'm going to drop the link in the Facebook chat to make sure that you guys get this, to kind of get some ideas. And like, what would I do if it was in real estate? How could I take this idea and pull it over for my thumbnails? And once you start thinking a little bit differently, again, that's not just supposed to be a screenshot of a video, but it's supposed to pull people in, stop the scroll, pull them in, let them know a little bit about what the video is. The title tells them exactly what it is. And then once they click on it, they're getting caught up in what you're trying to do. So let me go back through and show you exactly how I create some of these thumbnails here. So I still use PicMonkey, which apparently makes me feel like an old person because most people have moved on to Canva. This just works for me. I've been using it now for 6 years, and it's really cool because all of these are just, you don't have to be good at Adobe Photoshop. You can kind of see this is what the photos look like when you first pull them in, and you literally just hit add image, drag and drop in here. And then you could very easily say, like, if I want to pull here and just get rid of the background, you just say, get rid of background. And all of a sudden there I am. Okay. So I did the exact same thing with me when I had the old man face. The retiring piece, I think it's, again, 1 to 3 words max. You're pulling this in. Let me drag and drop it. Don't be afraid to cover yourself up a little bit because, again, people need to read it. If I was to put I'm retiring down below and then you cover it up with the timestamp of the video, which is what it looks like here, you've got the timestamp over here and all the good stuff. You don't want to do that. So I kept it really big. But then what do we do with the background? This is always like really, to me, the hardest part to come up with, not the title, not any of the other stuff, but how do I create the background? Well, there's a few different things that you can do. I've really crushed it lately with these AI backgrounds. My click-through rate went from pretty average, like 7 to 9% after 24 hours to now it's like 11 to 13% click-through rate. And let's stop there. So click-through rate is when you look on YouTube Studio and you say, I uploaded my video and then it'll start giving you data after a couple hours of how your video is doing overall. How does it rank compared to other videos you've done? And that video analysis is invaluable because you, as a creator, you're just trying to get a little bit better. Again, I would still think I'm like a 7 or 8 out of 10 when it comes to thumbnail creation. I would love to get a 9 or a 10, but I know that I'm better than I was last year, and I'm really, really good compared to where I was 6 years ago. And so YouTube Studio will allow you to say, okay, I used to be like, an 8% click-through rate. What is it that I can do to make my thumbnails a little bit more clickable? Send them to your friends, send them to different iterations and that sort of thing. And Chase, I think you were going to send me, I saw you were watching below. Chase is our media and marketing manager. Could you Slack me over the iterations that we did for your most recent video on the Orlando Reel? Because I think that would be really valuable for them to see. Let's see, over here, boom. Do you have ChatGPT Plus, or can you get the cool thumbnails with the free chat? I have ChatGPT Plus. Yeah, Paul. Let's see here. Take a little drink while this is loading. All right, let me show you how to do some of these cool AI backgrounds while Chase is going to send that stuff over to me. All right, so I have ChatGPT with DALL-E and all that good stuff. Here we go. This is kind of what it looks like. So Paul lives in West Palm Beach, right? And so I don't even know how much this is. It sounds terrible of me. Very, very elitist of me not to know how much this costs. But I think that I would never have pulled the trigger if it was more than like $20 a month. But anyhow, this is ChatGPT with DALL-E, and it's ChatGPT 4. And so you can tell it cool stuff. If you've never used AI before, I literally started doing this 2 months ago. Not exactly something that I was leaning into until I just couldn't find the photo over on like Adobe Stock, which is what I used to use all the time. And I was like, I just want to create something that's kind of similar. So Palm Beach is Paul that's checking in here. He's down here. So let me see. Show me and then aspect ratio, widescreen aspect ratio of condos on the beach in West Palm. And then it'll think. It does take a minute. Apologize. Talk between yourselves. All right. So here's what it looks like that it came up with. Now, is this exactly it? No, but would this be an amazing background for one of Paul's videos? This one right here would be absolutely incredible. And so you could literally put on there living on, Palm Beach living, or just Paul's face, or there's a million other ways that we could use this as a background. Matt says PicMonkey is better than Canva. That's a hill that I'll die on. I agree. So say you like, hey, these are kind of like low rise compared to what we see. You can literally update it and say, make the buildings high rise. And it knows what you're talking about. You kind of use it the same way that you would Google. I mean, there's really not a huge learning curve that I was surprised to learn. I just was like, oh, I'm just going to talk to it as if it was my marketing director, and hopefully it makes sense. And the more I messed around with it, the easier it got, to where I was like, yeah, this is very, very cool. All right, here we go. So here's an updated image featuring high-rise luxury condos along the beach of West Palm Beaches. These skyscrapers add a touch of modern sophistication on the coastal skyline. Boom. So that, maybe Paul's like, no, that actually looks a little bit more like Palm Beaches. And so whether this is a building that exists or not, closer to what we're hoping to do. And so you can do this. I've done this in so many different ways. You can see I did Winter Park, which is that video that I showed you with Kristen and I. This is our YouTube video. Oh, they disappeared. Oh, that's weird. Anyways, you can go back through and like look at some of the prompts that you've done in the past to sort of reinvigorate where you're at. But here's we are, Palm Beaches. Did you guys get something? Is this helpful? Is that like one little tip, a good takeaway? Let me know down below. But say you don't love the AI look. You want something a little bit different. You could very easily use like an Adobe Stock. and figure out something that looks fairly good, grab something that actually looks very real. That in the background with Paul and like a don't move here would be an easy one to use. So Adobe stock is another easy one for you to potentially use. Let's see. All right, going back over here. So once you drag and drop it in, figuring out where you're going to place this kind of thing, and then going from there, I think makes sense. Now, here's an interesting thing. I think you guys should, this is another great takeaway if you're paying attention. I think hopefully it'll be helpful. So this is a new channel for us. We have literally had this Orlando Reel channel on YouTube, anyways, for 2 months now. Let's see. This one opened. We posted 10 days ago. Yeah, 2 months was the first video that we did. And here's the crazy thing about this, guys, is like, we're a brand new channel. We're already monetized. We got 1,000 subscribers and over 4,000 hours of watch time in 2 months, which that took me 2.5 years to do on my main channel. So the Orlando Reel, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like our media company that also runs as a real estate company. We basically talk about all things real estate, theme parks, and living in Orlando. This isn't a play that I suggest that everybody does unless you really want to scale big one day. Yay, my camera. I'm at the home studio today. So this isn't something that I think that everybody should do. I think you should really start with your own name, honestly, and brand yourself as the local expert. Palm Beach's Paul is one of them. There's other people that will brand themselves to Chicago, but your name, I think, goes a really long way. And that's how I did my main channel, which has over 45,000 followers or subs on it now. But I wanted to show you the powerful nature of this kind of thing. So we got this Orlando Reel channel, 1,300 or 1,100 subscribers. This most recent video that we put up was a really long form video. Now, here's an interesting thing. Let's see if Jason me. He didn't. So we actually went through like 5 or 6 different iterations of this thumbnail to finally get it where it wanted to be. And we were going back and forth for quite some time regarding like, how much does this thumbnail actually need to have? Because I had actually used ChatGPT to come up with the title. I was like, kind of. I mean, I put in there, hey, I'm doing a video about Walt Disney choosing Orlando as the place to go. What are some interesting things that would draw people in from a title? And ChatGPT gave me like 7 or 8 different things that were all pretty garbage. But there were a couple things. It was Walt's greatest decision. And I was like, that's interesting. And so I added the secret behind choosing Orlando. And because of this thumbnail and because of the title, and yes, the video was fantastic. We storyboarded it out. We made sure that it was poppy, that there was good pacing. We spent a lot of time on this, but this thumbnail is the 6th iteration of the thumbnails that the team and I kind of went back and forth on. Like, hey, should we have words? Should we put yellow here? Or how does this actually lay over the background, which is more so looking like a swamp? And what photo of Walt should we use? And we really spent some time, because that's how important thumbnails actually are. Is making sure that, like, if you're going to spend all of this time, you'll spend 4 or 5 hours creating a video and then spend 2 minutes on the thumbnail. And that's where I'm trying to just get through today, that you really need to slow down. And by the way, this video on a channel with 1,000 subs got 57,000 views, 28,000 times more, or 28 times more, our next video. And so some of these other ones were, but still 4,000 views, 3,400 views. A lot of these are significantly better or a lot more views than we get on our main channel, because we slowed down and made sure that this new channel was right. So you got some questions coming in. So make sure you guys do drop more down below, because it is helpful and makes this a little bit more fun. So Miami Living, which Jason says, is a good idea to go back and revamp thumbnails and make them better. Absolutely. And so here's the other brilliant thing, you guys, about YouTube, is that you can go back and change the title. You can go back and change the description. You can go back and update the YouTube or the thumbnail for as long as you want. And actually, this is a really great piece, Jason, that I'm glad you mentioned. So let's go to YouTube again. Ken Posick, go over here. May know that I did this video. I've talked about it often, with Shaq. I had his house, or Shaq's house anyways. And so, I said inside Shaq's $16 million home. If you remember or ever saw this video, it's got 1.8 million views. We did it 3 hours ago. It's still getting views every single day, which is insane. But this thumbnail used to have my face on it. And we got to like 1.2 million and 1.2 million views after a couple of years. And it was still slowly kind of clipping along. But then a friend of mine said, hey, have you ever thought about the thought process of that? your subscribers have already seen that video, and now you're trying to get new people that don't know your face. And so why don't you take your face off and make Shaq's bigger and see what happens? And we updated that thumbnail after 2 full years, and that video picked up another 600,000 views over the past 3 months. That's insane. And so, yes, I think you can go back and change your thumbnails, update them. I do think that if you're going for a branding play, especially early on, putting your face on there is like six, maybe you don't do it right away, I guess is the easiest way to say. If you're starting out fresh and you have no subscribers, you're trying to get that to take off to as many people as possible. So for me, I have my face on all of them because I've got 45,000 subscribers now. And many of them will say, if I don't see your face, I forget that it's your video. So from a branding aspect, I keep my face on there. But as an early person on there, you may not put your face on there. And that's okay. Don't get hurt about that. They're going to watch your video anyways. You're going to be in the video. They're going to see you. But you want them to click on the video. That's what matters more than anything, is clicking on the video. Once you get them there, then that's a whole nother story and a whole nother thing we're going to talk about. Paul says, hey, I'm going through some of my videos that performed well but fell off. I'm going to update my thumbnails. I think you should. There's also, like one of the things I'll show you on this video over here as well is it said inside Shaq $16.5 million home. I think it used to just say 16 million up top. And so this is maybe 1 or 2 more words than I really wanted to have on there. But I think it played really well, and it kind of played to like what the Vogue style looks like on their stuff, which is what I was trying to emulate. So yeah, I think you guys should check that out. What else? What other things we want to talk about for thumbnails? You can go back, put your face on it, not put your face on it. Again, I think that as you start getting some traction, you do add your face, and then maybe have a plan a month later to remove your face and put something else up to where it's a little bit more catchy, see if it can pop off. That's not a waste of your time, I guess is the best way to say. So we riffed for 25 minutes today, 22 minutes or so, because I didn't have audio the first three minutes. Thank you for those of you that tuned in. Hopefully this has kind of convinced yourself that maybe you should spend a little bit more time on thumbnails, and gave you a few tips and tricks to make them a little bit better. I'm going to give you a couple more before you guys pop off here. This is an interesting little tidbit to note. So there's all this psychology. Daryl Eves, I spent some money to hang out with him. Really good YouTube guru. And he mentions that, hey, listen, there's actually psychology and things where people talk about seeing better of the whites of your eyes and or really white teeth are going to draw people in and make it feel a little bit more realistic. You'll notice that Mr. Beast does this on a lot of his stuff as well. Let me show you guys what this looks like from his perspective. So you can see on his thumbnails, like you can easily see his teeth. They're super white. His eyes are super white. He actually looks really crispy clear. And then you're like, oh, there's a train coming with spikes. I'm going to stop him. What is this? And then you go over there. It says, stop this train, win a Lamborghini. What a great uploaded 10 days ago, 96 million views. God bless this guy. But let's go back over here for us real people here. So this is an interesting thing where you look at, like on PicMonkey anyways, you can hit touch up, and then you can actually say whiten teeth and then go through here and then just literally do a once over. So I'll try to go back and show you what this looks like. If I go to the I'm retiring guy, throw this in here. And let me pop this up. I'll show you guys a little bit more. So if I was going to replace myself with this video or this guy, here's a couple editing tips for you guys while you're using this. So this looks a little choppy. It looks a little crappy, honestly, with no depth. So I'm going to click on him, go to shadow and outline, give myself a little bit of depth. Okay, great. It looks okay. Then you could go back through here, hit some edits, exposure, and play with some of the brightness. Oh, that looks a little bit better. What about the contrast? Not exactly yet. What about the mid-tones? Oh, there we go. That looks good. Let's go to the sharpening tool. Let's make it look a little bit more like Mr. Beast. It looks like a little bit more hyper realistic compared to really flat. And if you add it, look at that clarity tool right there gives you a little bit more, just a little bit more. Looks like it was taken in a studio versus just a rip of a video. You can see some purple stuff over here and you might be like, what the heck is that? And so you could literally go down through here and say, okay, let me go to the colors. Actually, let's see, cancel, color change. Here we go. You can grab like, oh, this is purple from my lights. So let me maybe turn down the saturation on there. See how it went from like super purple to like all of a sudden it disappeared and now it looks pretty darn good. That's actually, I love that right there. But you can't see my eyes. And this is going back to my teeth look just normal. My eyes look just normal. So we go back over here and the touch up tool, and I'm going to take the teeth whitening, size it down a little bit, and then whiten my teeth up. Oh, look at that. Just getting back from the dentist. Looks great. Eye brighten tool over here. That's a little too big because I don't want my entire face to be white, but just kind of brighten this up a little bit. Brighten this up a little bit. And check that out. I mean, that's kind of like the live version of making me look significantly better than what I was. Let's see. So this compared to that. So anyhow, hopefully that makes sense a little bit to you guys. You can see how editing, just kind of going down, making yourself, those little touches make a lot more sense when you're looking at clickability and when people are scrolling through. How does this going to look? Instead of just grabbing a screenshot and throwing it up as a thumbnail, spending a little bit of time. I spend personally about 30 to 45 minutes on each one of my thumbnails. I still do them personally, much to my team's chagrin. It's just something I really enjoy. And so I can get better and better at them. And because we're getting better click-throughs, I'm going to continue to do that. Jason asks, what program is this? This is PicMonkey. Bruno asks, do I get concerned about using AI images in the beginning as they're not really matching the real places? I mean, I think so let me ask you this, does this place really exist in real life with Mr. Beast's videos? Is this how it's actually going to be when people watch his videos? Probably not. You could probably recreate that background with AI, honestly. This is one of those videos. It's not his, but if you look at one of the ones that I talked about earlier in the video today, the screen on text make a lot of sense. But I don't personally, no, I'm not really worried about people saying oh, that's not the real celebration, or that background's not the real Winter Park, because all it is an advertisement for a video. And once they click on it, I'm showing the real thing. It's not like, when you've got a house where you're saying, oh, this AI, that's how the kitchen really looks. And then they show up and the kitchen's from the 70s. Oh, just kidding. That's how it could look. I don't find any ethical sort of issues there. Only popping on for a second, but never next appointment. I'm definitely rewatching this. I appreciate that. And Paul says, does anybody know if Canva can do that? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. That's why I've just stuck with PicMonkey, because it can do everything that I want. Adobe would do significantly better, Adobe Premiere and or Photoshop. But last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, Chase actually finally chimed in here. Thanks, buddy. I want to show you guys what this looks like, because I think it's actually very cool. How many iterations we went through to figure out the last one. So we started with this top left one, and it was question mark and the photo and welcome to Florida and the castle up top. I'm like, I don't really love the question marks. Let's get rid of that. And there's I think it's still a little too much. Let's get rid of the welcome to Florida and just make the castle bigger, because the castle is really with this Walt and the castle were kind of the two big ones. And then it was all right, well, do we like the white background here behind the castle? I don't know. It kind of washes out. What about a blue one? No, I don't like that either. What about yellow? Oh, I like yellow. And then we ended up not using the blue one. We went with the yellow one. So just kind of, again, refining the whole process and just continuing to go through, source it with your team, source it with your spouse. Just be like, hey, which one of these would you click on if you saw it? Which one appeals a little bit more to you? I think is a cool way to go about it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I hope, again, this was value. My goal with this content lab is, again, I don't plan on charging anything for this. I know there's a lot of other ones out there. And for the time being, I just want to chop it up with you guys, talk about content, what's working, what's not working. And so make sure you use the forum and the community, not just as me throwing gems in the group every once in a while, but really slow down and say, hey, I'm struggling with this specific thing. What do you guys think? Because I think that as a whole, as a community together, we can continue to level up real estate in general. And as there's a lot of things changing out there, right? And our industry is always changing. But if you could provide value, build an asset in YouTube and or your own brand locally, it will pay off for years and years to come. But anyways, thanks again, guys. We'll talk